flew in. I didn't bring in all my planes. I didn't want the Americans to know I had 4 carriers there. I only brought in 9 planes. So as I'm coming into attack, he comes up with his 1 airplane, and he chooses to attack 2 of them. And he decisively beats me in the air battle. I lose 2 of my planes. He doesn't lose any. So his plane goes and lands. Then I continue on with my 7 aircraft, and the air defense roll destroys 1 more, and 1 gets sent home, and 2 got sent home. So I continued on with 5, and I hit the battleship with 2 ships, and I sunk it with 2 planes. I hit the ship in the port with 2 planes, sunk it, and the other 3 planes attacked the air base. And I succeeded in destroying a counter, damaging 3, so it eliminated the 1-3 with all its damage on it. So we knocked it down to just the infantry. I'm going to remain in the spot until the end of the combat phase, because remember, I still got to watch this ship if it decides to come out. So the movement is now done. I'm tracing supply from Japan and all over this area. Remember, this task force is going to watch these British ships, so supply is undefended, but these are watching these ships here, and there's nothing else over in this area that can stop me. Now, he does have a carrier, but I'm going to save this for later date. I'm conceding this area to the Japanese for now. Just explain a little on the submarines. Now, submarines can stop undefended sea supply lines and attack any naval activity. So the forces that moved out of Haiphong needed to be supplied from Tokyo. So there's an undefended sea supply line, undefended, going to here, then they can operate. Palembang is a unlimited supply source, so I don't need to supply that. They can move along. Truk is an unlimited supply source. So from here, we can run a supply to here, or to Marcus. They can run supply. So, and then this beachhead can be supplied from Truk this way. Now, submarines can come out and attack these supply lines. They have 5. The undefended ones, or even stop an invasion. Now, the submarines can only do this once a year. Once they're used, they can't be used again to do stop naval activity, and any of them that are eliminated are removed from the box. So, but any losses that fleets take from submarines, you can remove losses out of your SW box, and the Japanese put 4 fleets in there to kind of hedge against that. So submarines aren't really going to do more than 1-2 sunken ships, and the Japanese have the fleets here to take the losses, and therefore nothing would happen to the invasion force or the undefended sea supply lines. And that's why for now I'm not going to use submarines to stop them. But you always keep that in mind, and the Japanese always have to keep forces there, just like the Americans need to keep their ships there against the Japanese submarines. So we'll always watch out for that. And the Japanese, if I remember correct, they built 5 submarines also. So anyways, and that's it. So on to the movement. So ground movement's done. I don't have a lot of forces there. Remember, the attack didn't go well last turn, but I got a line on the Indian border. I got gaps in China, but the Chinese can't move out of China until they lend units to the British, and they couldn't do it when they weren't at war. So, and they haven't gone yet. So I'm an attrition everywhere there, and I got the invasion force moved to there. The invasion moved to there. Invasion moved to there with air support, and I moved the ground units up here with paratroopers going to be jumping, and plane support there to take Singapore. So, and I'm going to wait before I walk on Hong Kong. It's not that important. I can come and get it later. He's just going to keep me isolated with his flying tigers. So, now I'm very tempted with the American 1 magic point to move 9 naval factors. That would be 2 carriers and 3 ships. I can just move right now into Cairns or Darwin. or even right here, and very tempted to get in a fight with this task force because I seen he has 3 carriers there. I might not get another opportunity ever to strike at 3 Japanese carriers, so I'm very tempted to do that. However, because I know what the Japanese have and how they set it up, I think it's inclined me to probably be a little more aggressive than I would have if I was just playing the Americans and I don't know what the Japanese have. All these attacks they're doing are pretty much normal attacks. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary except for bombing Darwin, but I'm going to get a chance to build that up. So as an American player, I don't think I'd take that chance. I want to get my 3rd carrier in, maybe even a 4th carrier. I wouldn't start moving against the Japanese till I had like maybe 5 carriers on them. I just don't want them advancing too far here. I want to get airplanes out here on these islands so I can get good search modifiers for me. Protect this one, protect this one. These will be the most important. Make sure I have a search modifier like that to help me out all along this area while I'm moving troops to Australia. So again, I'm a methodical type player, a grinder, and as the Americans, I set all that up first to give me the advantage. So, and again, I'm not an expert on the Pacific side. I haven't played it that much, but that's what I think we would be doing. Anyways, I'll return after the Japanese combat phase. The attacks were done, succeeded. This one was an exchange. I lost 2 airplanes and a Marine. This one succeeded, and this one was a good even kill. So all those are done. We're going to go to unit construction, and as 41 BRPs worth of stuff, and I still have that. Now the naval air reconstruction rate is only 3, so that's why you see a 3-3 there. I can't buy more than that. I didn't buy the carrier yet. The special naval landing force that was eliminated, you can't buy that back in the same turn, so that's there. But I did have one as allowable build, so I did buy one. I didn't buy the rest of that stuff there, or that 5-3 aircraft, which I want. But with these, I can SR. Those are 9 SRs sitting there if I don't move anything else around here. So, and then I did construct 1 fort. So that's it for that. So it's the Allies' turn. So the British will go, the Americans will go, and the British get a turn over there. The first thing that's going to happen is the beginning of the British turn. They get to add 25 BRPs for Australia and 25 BRPs for India to their force pool. And then they need to deduct 5 BRPs because they did lose Singapore. 2 countries, but then they lose 5, so they go up 45. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're actually now up to 132 because of that. So I really don't see offensive options happening here. On this front, we can take an attrition. We're going to have to block these sides, and I got plenty of Indian units I'm going to have to build. So let's put up a line here. 1, 2. No, I'm going to put the 2, 2 there, like that. And let's get the British Air Base right there to cover this line. And I can't get anything there yet, but I'd like to. But on this front, I can get an attrition. And I'm going to protect Colombo with an extra piece. So we're going to take an attrition there, move some guys around. No one's moving down here with the Australians. And we're just going to build, and we're going to beef up Darwin, of course. And the Americans will do nothing, just move some troops around. So that's it. That's what we'll do on this side with 1 attrition going on. So here goes the attrition die roll. And remember, they have that isolated unit, so but it's still on the 1 to 10 table, and they missed. So nothing happened. We go. The Americans aren't at war with the Germans yet, so we're not going to get 2 turns in a row yet. That'll happen next turn. So for this turn, and even if you were getting 2 turns in a row, you want to make sure by the time you turn the board over to the Japanese, you want to secure Johnston Island and Christmas Island, and make them defendable. So we'll be looking at that. It looks like he's going after Darwin, so I'm going to try to get Americans down here. We want to start attacking in this direction. While we're attacking in this direction, we are stopping the Japanese aggression right in this area. We don't want them coming out any further, because the quickest way to get pieces to Australia is on board SRs. We can travel every 10 hexes. We have to move. If we SR, we have to hit a supplied port, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's Christmas Island. From here we can SR to this area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. From here we go to here, and then we go in. That's the SR route that we would take on the board. And the Japanese want to try to cut that, because as they cut that, it's tough for them to get troops into Australia. Now, of course, I can always come down to the South Pacific board and into the Australian box, which then puts me up here. So, but that's what the Japanese want to force the Americans to do, not on board. Now, the Japanese only have Task Force 4 left. The other task force, remember, came over here. We know he showed at least 3 carriers there, so I'm assuming there's 3 carriers right there. And I think right now I have 2 carriers in my task force showing, and I have all these ships. I think I'm going to take the entire force, because that's one of the things about going second. I can use all my ships, and then they're inverted, but then the new turn starts and everything starts fresh, and I have all my fresh ships available. So I can use every ship I have to get an SR down here, and I think I want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and make my builds, and SR. I get 6 SRs. My total money over here is 135. For every 20 BRPs I get an SR, so that's 6 SRs. Half of that is initial deployments, which I'll get 3. So let me go ahead and build. So here's what I decided to do. I spent, this top row is what I was able to build. I built the infantry back. My naval reconstruction rate worldwide is 6 factors. I bought 6 ships. I bought the 5 air wings back I lost. This is the carrier that from the naval surprise table got left in Pearl. The other one starts there. And I use these ships, these 6 ships, sea transported a plane, a naval aircraft plane here. Remember, I want search modifiers. I'll get one there if I fight around this area. I get one here if I fight around that area. So remember, I gotta always watch for Japanese submarines. So as long as I have ships in here I can take losses with from the Japanese, I'm not too worried about the Japanese submarines at this time, even though he does have, he only has 5 submarines. So yeah, he doesn't have that many. So I go to SR phase. I'm allowed 6. I'm going to do 4. I SR'd this fighter plane. I actually took it out of my carrier, left it behind, SR'd it. I took 4 ships, double the amount I need for the 1-2, because I had a 3-2 here. I broke it down into 3 1-2s. You're allowed to break down in Pearl. There's 1, 2, and 3. I broke it down. So 4 ships carried that here. 4 ships carried the 1-2 to here. I want to protect these 2 islands. He can choose to intercept. That's why they're sitting there like that. It would be impossible, I think, for him to hit this and come way out here. He'd have to use submarines. But I don't think 5 subs is really going to hurt any of this. And I'm not sure, if I was the Japanese, I don't think I'd just waste my 5 subs, because I'm not going for this. I'm going to try to cut interception off down in this area. I think it's a waste of time to go for Midway. I don't mind Wake. Wake's very important to me to have a barrier, but Midway is kind of out of the middle of nowhere. Once I take it, it allows me to put pressure on Pearl. But it doesn't help me at all if I bring my carriers out here to fight at Pearl. He gets all the modifiers, I don't get any. So it's just a stepping stone to come to Pearl, and since I'm not going to Pearl as the Japanese, Midway is useless to me. So I really don't care about these. I'm not going to waste my submarines on them. So they're going to succeed. So these ships go back home. We'll just turn them upside down. So there's a 1-2 on Johnston there with an air modifier. These ships go home. Turn them upside down. 1-2 protecting that. The naval air here with this replacement. My last SR, I used the entire Task Force 1, which is this. Now he knows I have 2 carriers, and he even seen me probably reduce it by 1. So he knows I got 5 aircraft. I'm assuming he has 4 aircraft left because I know he used at least 3 here. Now as a Japanese, the Japanese, remember, was keeping 1 under cover. He only has 2 in that task force, and I don't know that as an American. But the Japanese is deciding, do I want to get in a carrier battle here? The reason I didn't risk getting in a carrier battle is because the interception hex for him to come to here is 12 hexes. That means he needs to roll a 1 to intercept. The possibility of that is going to be real slim. Also, I can invoke my magic point, and he has to reduce 1 off his dice, so I can make him miss that interception all the way. That's why I had no problems coming here, because I wasn't really prepared to get in a carrier battle just yet. So this one does succeed. It goes back home, and we come into this port and we reinforce Darwin. I think that's enough to secure Darwin. He's not going to be able to invade that. And I'm going to start building troops in Australia. So I secured that, beefed up my defenses out here in the Eastern Pacific, and I can start pushing inward. Okay, now initial deployments, I get 3. Now I want the carriers. Got to beef up the carrier force. Put another one in there. Put another one in there. So now I'm up to 4 carriers there. And then I want the airplane to beef up Pearl Harbor. Remember, air wings are the key out here when it comes to sinking ships and winning carrier battles. So that's my 3 initial deployments. And that is going to be it for the American turn. And we sent... Oh, that is not it. We are going to SR these carriers that are in the U.S. Atlantic box and a 5-4 aircraft. Because I don't need all these air over here in England yet. There's no pressure there. But I definitely need the air on this side. I really don't need the infantry here yet. If Australia was being pressured, I would probably move more infantry over there and get them. I'd probably come around this side too. I'd go to South Africa. South Africa comes over to India, to Australia. I'd be pouring in men on both sides. But it's not the case, so 2 more carriers are sitting over here ready to come in next turn. And another 5 aircraft. Now, I don't get to add units to my force pool until 2 turns after the declaration of war. So this is only 1 turn, so it won't be till next turn. So that's the Americans, and they're done. The Japanese are going to get a turn to do 1 more thing to me, and then I'm going to get 2 turns in a row on them. So that should be it. And we built some partisans. Yeah, let's have the Americans build some partisans in the Philippines. And the British built one over here in France. And the only thing we have left is the Russians now. And the Chinese lent units to the British, these 3 units. And they SR'd them. They want to protect the BRP route. That's the only one they got left now. The Japanese have cut Indochina and the Burma Road, so... took an attrition, killed a couple Japanese, and that was it. Alright. I'm done with the Russians. I took 2 limited offensives, one for 4 points and one for 8, so I spent 12. I wanted to knock back a infantry here, 2 infantry that were up here that were causing salients, and I didn't want them to create pockets and stuff, so I took them back. Then I took their attrition with the rest of the guys and got another hex, and I was able to push this tank back. So it gave me a nice, almost a double line starting right here. I go to here, so I got gaps here and I got gaps here, but I'm just, if he wants to exploit up through this area, you know, he's not going to get too far. He'll come around on Moscow here, and that's about it. And then down here he's going to get around Leningrad, but I built a fort in Leningrad and I got 233 infantry in it. So I mean Stalingrad, I don't think he's going to get Stalingrad. I got 233 infantry and a fortification in Stalingrad there. So the forts are covered, Moscow's covered, and we'll see how it goes. I built everything I could. I got a new 4.5 tank I chose not to build, and I got aircraft here eliminated that I chose not to build because I wanted every infantry I could to guard my front. And this is going to be the Germans' last big push before the Americans come in and I get 2 turns in a row on them. So we'll see how that goes. So we're going to move to the SW phase. The Germans lose 21 BRPs on the SW phase. I mean, the British lose 21 BRPs. But more importantly, they saved 6 submarines out of that one. Things are, you know, still not, we're not out of the woods yet. So that is the end of spring. I'm going to make one note for the Axis here. The British are way ahead of schedule. Not way ahead, but a couple turns ahead down in Africa. They are pushing the Italians back, all because we can't get the supply, our oil supply, down to Africa because of Malta. So what I would like to revise and what we try to come up with in our next game or whenever you play is try to get rid of Malta by, I would say, fall 1941. And if you can do that, then I think we'll have a better chance of holding on to Africa.